So, welcome to everybody, and welcome to this session, which is all about this particular session is all about our love and hate relationship with food. And so, with food, so every few hours we need to eat something, we get all our strength from food, and yet so many things that we are allergic to, and so many conditions that we keep seeing in ourselves. Oh, this doesn't suit us, we shouldn't eat this. And then as diseases happen in the body, this is taboo and that is taboo, and it's all got to do with food. And right now, Venu, who asked the question, was it Venu? Yeah, Venu asked this question about, when you already have a condition, if you have some allergies, and then, every time, even if you eat something by mistake, even if you eat something by mistake and it shows up and you're not even aware that you've eaten something. So jumping into the topic right away, I've always kind of, every time you listen to me, and there are several times I remind you that fear, or for that matter any other frequency, any of the emotions that we are sitting with, they don't sit in buckets. You've collected fear about something, it can manifest in that something or in another topic as well. Fear is not like, okay, this is my fear related to food, this is my fear related to something else, and therefore it will manifest. But when it manifests on a particular topic, so let's say you are eating something and you find that it's not suiting you, this food is harming you, it's actually, it's not good for your system. Now what do? Categorically you are creating fear in that aspect. So our awareness is so limited that at least let's look at that topic and start to release the fears from there. The fears could be related to that or could be related to something else. But now that we see that there is something in the food that's not agreeing with us, then we can, we know this is a head start. We can look into this topic. All the fears that we are creating with respect to that topic, we can let go. A particular instance comes to mind. So somebody came to my workshop, and then, we took a lunch break. I normally serve these large falafel rolls in my workshops, and so as we took a break, this fellow came after eating the lunch, and he said to me, I have something to share. And he said, go ahead. And he said, all my life I've been allergic to gluten, and I have very, very severe allergy to gluten. We started your workshop today, and I used to actually pass around candles, the candle positivity process that I teach. I used to hand diyas out to people, and very, very beautiful diyas, and then I used to teach them how to look into the candle and to release your emotion. So as the diyas were being passed around and somebody was going around with the tray, this person, he looked at the diyas, and then he looked up, and there was a fan that was still moving, and he said, oh, my diya is not going to last, it's going to get, how will I do this process? The diya is not going to last. And so, as soon as the diya came in his hand, sure enough, in about 30 seconds, the diya went off, the candle went off. As this person looked around everywhere, on his left, right, and center, everywhere, everybody else was with the candle, and they were, nothing had happened to their candles. And this person had said, oh my God, how will I work with the candle? The fan is going to not make it last. And that's exactly what happened to his candle. This is in my workshop, and in my workshop, my energies are really, really powerful. And so, anyway, so when he looked at what he had just done, he had manifested from fear. And this just became an example of how quickly his manifestation played out. So by the time lunch happened, and I was serving these gluten rolls, because you know what, the falafel rolls are filled with, it's all gluten. There's nothing else, but there is gluten. Now this time, this fellow said, okay, I'm going to try this, I'm not going to come from fear. This was a fear of a lifetime, and that too, especially on a gluten diet. And but this time he says, okay, now that I'm in Meenal's energies, and I just saw a demo of how quickly the manifestation happens. So it was almost as if he wanted to kind of see for himself if a manifestation can happen on the other side as well, if he changes his frequency. And so, and that's how miracles happen. The miracles, I always tell people, the miracles are par for the course. Don't wait for miracles to happen. Don't put your eyes on them. They are going to happen all around. And when they happen, simply observe them. So here was this man. He, this time, when the gluten filled roll was served, he simply said, I'm in the energy of Meenal, and I'm no longer fearful of this roll. And he ate that roll. And then when he came to report this incident, he says, I've not been able to have a single bite. Even if I have a bite of something that has so much gluten in it, then I have to be immediately rushed to the hospital. And yet here he was standing over there. In that moment when he ate that gluten, what happened? What happened was that his fear he had released, and it worked over there. Is it always going to work like that? Well, actually, for him, it did. He lost his gluten allergy on that day. Very, very recently, it happened. The same thing happened to somebody else as well. And the same thing that, there's somebody who's staying with me right now, Navneet, and her daughter. She has gluten allergy and she wanted to eat pizza. So she called her mom and she said, I want to eat pizza, but, it's such a waste of money. And she told the daughter, she says, firstly, release the fear, and also release this worry that this would be a waste of money. So just simply release your worry, release your anxiety, release your fear, and then you order your pizza. Well, the daughter called and she was absolutely fine. Her gluten allergy didn't show up. So again, when I say, when we find that we are fearful about something, we can begin our work on it. When we begin our work on it, I told you even in the morning session, and you must have heard that when you're still feeling the fear, you don't need to be in a rush to go ahead and eat it. But if you feel that yes, you worked enough on it, that you've released your fear, you want to try out something, you should go ahead and try it out. If the allergy plays up again, the whole idea is not to get this time, now that you are aware that it's simply a frequency of fear. The last time when you were not aware and you ate something even by mistake, your fear frequency created more fear. This time, if something happens, let your fear frequency not create more fear. In awareness, this time you will not be acting the same way that you did the last time. The last time you were thinking, oh my God, what did I eat? What did I eat? Let me make sure that it doesn't become a part of my meal again. But this time, what is it that you're going to do? Instead of going and making associations, it must have been this food, it must have been that food. Instead of making associations, simply sit in this understanding, what am I feeling? Now that this allergy is playing out again, what am I feeling? Am I feeling fearful? Okay, then let me release the fear some more. There must be some work remaining on fear over here. I personally used to have 100 different allergies. I was allergic to heat. I was allergic to dust, allergic to heat, allergic to green chilies, allergic to groundnut oil, allergic to a couple of other things as well. Oh yeah, the sugar syrup in gulab jamun, severely allergic. I used to be allergic. And now none of those allergies, because each time when I started to look and become more and more aware of what I was thinking as I was consuming, whether it is that I'm consuming polluted air, what am I thinking? When I'm consuming gulab jamun, what am I thinking? When there is heat all around, and I look at the sun and it's so strong that it's going to harm me, because I would get hives all over my body if I went out in the sun. And so if the sun is too hot and I look at the sun, what am I thinking? Am I thinking from fear, or am I okay? Am I just thinking that no, the universe is playing in my favor? And so with that, when I became aware, I could release my fears much more rapidly. And today I have zero allergies. As a matter of fact, I used to live in Delhi. And in Delhi, 10 years ago, I couldn't deal with the pollution levels. And now when I go to Delhi, the pollution just doesn't bother me. And the pollution has actually become probably 100 times more in the last 10 years. But now when I go, I don't fall sick because, again, the same thing, whatever I'm consuming, am I in fear of that? And then if so, more of that is going to manifest. So now that we talk specifically about food, again, to look at what I in my workshops, most of the times I would tell people, every time you eat something, then you think that all that I eat is love. All that I eat is Amrit. All that touches me is Amrit. All that I eat is love. All that I consume, everything that touches me is love. It works for everything, not just for food, but also for water. We have so many programs. We have so many programs related to water and food. How many times should we eat? What should we eat? This is healthy for us. This is not healthy for us. 8 glasses of water is a definite requirement by our body. And if we can, we should drink more, else our body will suffer. It's funny because every now and then, I will drink water. Sometimes I drink a lot more water. And by a lot more water in a day, I mean about 2 or 3 glasses. That's a lot more water. Otherwise, I've actually seen that my body doesn't require water. It takes its water from wherever. I love chai. So no matter how much chai I'm having, and I just have this understanding that if my body needs it, it will ask for it. I don't have to force feed my body with anything, with nothing at all. And so, whatever is it that my body is requiring, well, some days it's a lot of sweets, and some days it's something more salty, and I simply keep listening to the body, and from that place I eat. I am the same person who used to be so petrified of eating fried food. I used to be petrified of having anything that was excessive, excessive in terms of whether it's sweets or desserts or whatever. And yet I love desserts. So every time I would have desserts, what would I do? I would have desserts today, and for the next 5 days, complete diet. And by diet, I don't mean starving myself, but it used to be whatever I considered healthy. I would only eat fruits. I would only eat cucumbers. I was only eating watermelons for the next 5 days, after I had sinned. So, this judgment of mine that I have sinned, what was it creating in me? It was creating a lot of guilt. And so, look at food and see what it's creating in you. When you are having it, are you feeling fearful? After you're done having it, are you feeling guilty? Are you judging yourself? Why is it that we need to, not eat fried food? Well, for me personally, when my journey started and money began to break my food programs, and he said, eat all the mithai, eat every mithai that you can think of. And this and this really happened in such a way that in my house everybody started to bring so many sweets. There were sweets and sweets and sweets in my house, and when there is mithai in front of me, I cannot stop. So some days I'd be having 6 gulab jamuns, some other days there would be like 10 of something, and I started to eat. I still hadn't worked on releasing all of my judgments. And so, as I ate, I began putting on weight. I had told Money that, okay, I'm going to surrender all of my choices to you. So, whatever you say, I'm okay to do. I normally tell all of you, first, don't be in this rush for acting on guidance. First release, even if you get guidance and the guidance is telling you, eat this or do that, do an action. Don't take the action first. Look into the emotions. Even if guidance is getting you to feel nervous, if guidance itself is causing fears in you, firstly look at the fears and then release them. And then if need be, the action will happen, or sometimes there would be no need for the action itself. I always tell people that pay attention to the emotion and then only do the action. For me, in this respect, the journey is slightly different, because I told money, okay, you teach me surrender. And so I surrender everything. And you, whatever it is that you want me to do, I am going to do. I look at the fears. Of course, I look at the fears and release it, but then I go ahead and do whatever is being asked of me. I understand that if I do something, then it becomes a very clear answer to me whether I've actually released my fears or some more work needs to be done. So Mani asked me that, okay, now start eating sweets. So each time the sweets come in front of me, I will release my fears at that time, and I will then begin to eat the sweets. As many pieces go, they go. And sure enough, what happened? I began to put on weight. And in the last 1.5 years, I've put on some 10-15 kilos. Each time I got onto the weighing scale, I would get so angry and so upset. So, what's happening? At the time of eating, I'm doing my work in the guidance. I'm doing it in the guidance. I've released my fear. At the time of eating, I'm able to do that. But that's not the only time. In the next moment, what's happening with me? I'm going into frequencies of fear. I'm going into anger. Even the anger, underneath the anger, is fear itself. So Mani asked me, what is it that you are fearful of? If you eat 20 sweets, what is going to happen? If your weight becomes 65 and then 75 and 85, what is going to happen? So when I looked underneath all of those fears, for me personally, it was not about health. It was not about, I'll need to go to doctors or something. It was simply that if I become fat, I'm not going to look beautiful. And so it was this conditioning. There was this part of me that I wouldn't accept. There is this part of me that I don't love. And so, as I always talk about it, if there are parts of us that we are judging, if there are parts of us that we haven't accepted, then the job is not to make that part look right. But the job that we have is actually to be able to release our judgment of ourselves. And so each time I put on some more weight, yes, I sit and I work on my fears of weight, and I say, no, no matter what, I am Shiva and I will always be beautiful. On the days that I do this work on myself, on the days that I do, sure enough, somebody or the other, five people will stand up and say, Meenal, you are looking so beautiful. And when I haven't done my work on myself, if I'm sitting in unawareness, and let us say the fear of weight has cropped back in again, and I haven't still observed it, sure enough, somebody will look at me and say, haven't you become a lot more fatter than the last time I saw you? And it's constantly a reminder to me when somebody says that haven't you put on a lot more weight? I actually don't look at that and say, oh my God, I should go on a diet today. I simply say, oh my God, I need to release more judgments today. I must have picked them up on the way again. And that's why this person is showing me judgment about myself. And so that's simply a reflection of what we are holding. And so if I receive love, that means that I've done my work for the day. I'm going to receive love. And if I don't receive love, then simply that's the only work. The only work that we have is to look within and to be able to clear that fear or that guilt. So when we come to food, all from the day that we are born, we are looking at food as something that's going to be the source of energy to us. From the day we are born, when we are hungry, we let out a light big cry, because we think that if we don't get food, then we are not going to live. Even that 1 day old child is given that program of hunger so that they can be fed. The earth is the place from over where we are dependent on food, which gets converted to energy, and then we use the energy. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, somewhere around in April 2016, I received this long article about food. And what it largely said was that each time when you're eating something that's meant to be good for you, let's say you're eating broccoli, let's say you're eating cabbage, and it's supposed to be healthy for you, it's good for you, some nuts, some seeds, whatever it is that you are eating, your body is not going to take that broccoli and send it to the brain because it's good for the brain. No, the body is first going to convert it to energy, and then from that it will be, sent out to various parts of the body. So when the body is converting everything to energy, I was told in that guidance, in that article that I received, that why don't you just take energy straight from the source? Let's show you that even that you can do it. You can do it, that you can receive energy straight from the source, and you really don't need to have this long drawn process of the food first being converted to energy, then that energy being consumed by the body. I received this article in 2016, but I didn't understand it, and neither was I shown how to take energy directly from the energy source. I wasn't shown how to. That happened in 2018. So in 2018, there was, I was sleeping one day and I was simply woken up, and the guidance came to me saying, you are now playing in the frequency of Yukteswar Giri. I had read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, a long time ago, but this name sounded like it was there. And so I knew that tomorrow when I wake up, I need to go and I need to take a look at that book, because there were no other answers. It just said, you're now playing in the frequency of Yukteswar Giri, and then silence. And so I said, okay, what am I supposed to do? What am I meant to do? Any directions for me? Nothing at all. And so I went back to sleep. The next day when I woke up, and I love to have tea, and I have large tumblers of tea. And so when I was looking forward to my morning tea, there was this one thought, this guidance that came into my head, which was stop eating and stop drinking. And even though I eat my desserts with a lot of relish, and then I diet, but I didn't really like this idea of stop eating and stop drinking, because I was like, no, I mean, I thought that this was going to happen for life, and that now I would never be allowed to eat. And so I said, oh my god, no, but I love my gulab jamuns, I love my desserts, and what will I do if I stop eating? What a boring life that is going to be. And so the answer came, no, that's all right. Simply stop eating from habit, and simply stop eating from fears. Don't eat from habit. Don't eat from fear. You can eat for taste, and you can eat if you are hungry. Otherwise, stop eating and stop drinking. When this directive came to me, I was sitting with my big cup of tea, and as I looked at the tea, suddenly I recognized that my hunger and my thirst had been taken away. I was looking forward to the tea, and now no longer did I feel the urge that, okay, I haven't had my tea for so long that I should be, drinking my tea or eating my morning biscuits or anything. And I simply sat over there. When I took my first sip of tea, I thought about it. Why am I sipping this tea? For taste, because I enjoy the taste of tea. But then for taste, you only need a couple of sips. You don't need such a large, cup of tea, because that large cup, the first sip is for taste, and the rest of it simply habit. It's simply a matter of habit that you drink your tea from such large cups in such large, in such large quantities. It's not that you need that much for taste. So that was it. So I had one sip, couple of sips, and then I was done. This continued for a few days, that I was not eating anything and everything was going fine. I was not feeling the lack of energy, because I understood why. I went to that book, I read up on Yukteswar Giri, and I was, in that book it says he was the guru of Paramahans Yoganand, the author of the book. He was the guru of that. Of this person. And so I said, okay, maybe he was already playing in that frequency, because right now that is the frequency I was being given to experience. That frequency didn't need food, it didn't need water. Automatically, it was taking energy from the source. So this experience continued with me for a few days. In the middle of my experience, around the fourth or the fifth day, I actually drank some wine as well. And that was all for taste too. And I was like, okay, so I had some wine. Somebody came over. We sat and we drank some wine, and everything was fine. Except that the next day when I got up, and I was like, oh my God, yesterday I had some wine. I haven't been drinking enough water. What is going to happen to my kidneys? And immediately I came into fear. I was sitting in the frequency of Sri Yukteswar Giri, and I came into the fear frequency. From this fear frequency, I had a few sips of water. As I had those sips of water, the very next minute, I was rolling on the floor with so much pain. So much pain. And I immediately recognized what was manifesting. It was my fear that was manifesting right there in front of me in my body. As it happened, I was like, okay, okay, I'm sorry, sorry. I trust you. I'll go with this experience. I brought my energies, out of that fear frequency again. And this story then, within a few minutes, about 7 or 8 minutes, my stomach ache went away. And then I was back to, not eating. And this time I continued. From that point, this experience has happened with me a few more times. And I understand that when it happens, rather than that I don't have energy, I have way over, I have too much of energy, and that too straight from the source. The same experience happened to me when I was at Mount Kailash, that I was told stop eating, stop drinking. And I knew that it was Kailash's energy that I had to receive. And mostly when we are grounded to the earth, we need food. But when we are not grounded to the earth, so the energy of Kailash is something way higher. It is not, it is above the frequency of the earth. And that's what I understand it as. And so when I was taking in that frequency, when I was being given that frequency, food didn't have to play a part in it. So the story of food, that we actually can live without food. And it's not a matter of proving something to someone. If I feel like eating something, go ahead. I go ahead and I eat something. It's not that I have to prove to somebody that, look, I can stay without earth, I can stay without air, I can stay without water. It is simply a play of the frequency. I don't tie myself to the outcomes. And I tell everybody as well, there are so many people who reach out to me and say, we would like to experience this frequency that you did. Why don't you do another workshop? And I ask them, from what space are you asking for this? Because why is it that you are looking to experience? I wasn't looking to experience. I was simply shown that yes, there exist these frequencies. When you are in that frequency, you won't need food and water. But what is it that makes you want to experience? What is it that makes you want that frequency? You want that frequency from lack, because you have programs of food. You're like, no, no, I wish I didn't have to eat every single day, or food makes me sick, or food is not a good thing, blah, blah, blah. Whatever programs that you have about food, we simply just need to clear them. Even judgments about what kind of food is good for me and what kind isn't. When people come to my sessions and webinars, they ask me, do we have to turn vegetarian? And I say, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to turn vegetarian? What part of being non vegetarian scares you? That spirituality is not received if you are going to be a non vegetarian person. You are eating meat, you are eating another being. Well, here is the thing, remove yourself from the picture. The one that you are eating is also God. The one who's eating it is also God. The one who's preparing it is also God. Shiva, Shiva, Shiva everywhere. Don't get lost in the roles. Don't get attached to the roles that I need to do this and this is right and this is wrong. The more we judge on rights and wrongs, the more we are judging simply ourselves. There exists nobody else. There exists no animal. There exists nobody else. There only exists us and our mirrors every place. So the less we judge ourselves, the more beautiful, peaceful we are going to find ourselves to be. And for sure, this peaceful frequency is way higher than this energy of, I need to do something. This is what I'm doing wrong. This is what I'm doing right. So the energy of judgment is here. That's the energy of separation, and the energy of oneness, that the one that I eat is me only. Then no matter what you eat, there is no separation between you and the food. It is unconditional love being exchanged between you and the food. And so I always tell people, and so many people come to me with alcohol, that we don't drink alcohol on Tuesdays, or we don't eat, all the Jenny ladies in my group right now, so many of them, we don't eat onions and we don't eat garlic. And then why? Because our religion forbids. And so who is forbidding you? Is it the frequency of guidance that is forbidding you, or is somebody else's interpretation of what religion looks like, is that forbidding you? So again, look into it, because there is fear underneath that. I'm not telling you that tomorrow you have to start eating garlic and you have to eat onion for sure, or those who are vegetarians have to go out and eat non-vegetarian. That would be jumping into the action, and action is so totally overrated. I'm simply telling you, if you have emotions underlying, if you didn't eat it because it was forbidden, because you were told by others, then simply look into it, and then look at what it would be if you were to break this law. When we look at, in so many different programs, so many different conditions we have related to food. We have anorexia, we have bulimia, and all of this, what is it actually constantly pointing to? All of the conditions where we hate food, and where we are trying to not eat, get rid of food, and then there is so much of separation with the food, and each of those conditions are bothering us. What's happening over there? We are simply not giving ourselves love. That's all there is to it. This equation of ours with food has got to do so much with self love. We hate ourselves for eating this, we hate ourselves for not listening to the body. And so, simply the first job when it comes to food, and if you are under a lot of conditions, or if you're facing allergies, then the first thing that I would recommend to all of you to do is to come into awareness of where all you are judging yourself. You are judging yourself. You are not loving yourself. And so I am awesome. Whatever I eat is love. Whatever I drink is love. Everything that touches me is love. I am awesome. I am giving love to myself. Simply listen to the body. Your body, whatever it wants to eat, it will tell you. Sometimes you will crave for sugar, sometimes you will crave for salt, sometimes you will crave for nothing, sometimes you will crave for a lot. So that's it. Listen to the body and give what it wants. No, 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 sugar is not good for me. Now, when your body is craving for sugar, and you use your mind and you say, no, no, sugar is not good for me, I shouldn't give in. I shouldn't give my body the sugar. Now you are playing with fear. So simply listening to the body, allowing the body to be. We use so much of our mind in deciding what to eat and what not to eat. I've stopped doing that now. Yes, I'm still fighting with money on many a days, when every time I get on the weighing scale and the weight is not as I like it to be, then again, I'm playing in judgment, I'm playing in self hate. So the work over there is not to make sure that the weighing scales are right and that I stopped eating food or something. The work is simply to work on more self-love for myself. And I'm saying that so that everybody can understand that yes, me who plays in so much of self-love, it's 99% self-love. And yet, every now and then, if a judgment comes, it comes. When the judgment comes, I look at the judgment, I release the judgment. I don't wait for, okay, why is it happening to me? But I already worked so much on me. Why is this still not happened? I shouldn't be getting these thoughts anymore. These are frequencies. We will keep tuning into all different kinds of frequencies at all times. The job is not to reject anything. The job is not to run away from anything. The job is to allow and to accept. So, even in this place, when I get onto the weighing scale and I'm unable to accept my weight, then the job is to allow and the job is to accept. And so I do that. Somebody reached out to me a few days ago and said, we don't know when to stop. Then simply, you don't know when to stop, and that bothers you, and you eat a little bit too much, and then you feel like giving it out and you don't feel like keeping it in your body. And so even in that place, I simply told them, when your body wants to take it in for the taste, it's okay. Allow it to eat as much as it wants. And then if you feel too much, the too much has happened and it was excessive, even as you are puking it out, even as you are releasing it out, don't make associations that throwing out something is bad. You shouldn't be doing this. The body will find ways of throwing out things. You simply have to trust your body. So, what do I do these days? When I eat something, whenever I feel the need for something, I'm constantly reminding myself, if this is needed by my body, it will keep it. If it's not needed by my body is so intelligent. My body has access to all of the universal intelligence, and it knows what to do with every intake and how to throw it out. If it's needed to be thrown out, it will throw it out. If it is needed to be kept in, it will keep it in. I don't need to control my body, because again, what is that control over something or the other showing us? When we want to have control, I want to have control over what my body looks like. My body should look these dimensions. My body should look like this. What is this? This is pure conditioning towards not accepting yourself. This is pure conditional love that we give to our body when we try to control what it should look like. When we were a child, we didn't care what our body looked like. But then we started to become more and more conditional in the love that we give to the body. If I look like this, then the body receives two thumbs up. If I look like that, nope, I don't like my body. And so we are simply judging ourselves and what needs to go out. And I keep doing this work. And that's why, this is for me personally, it's been one of the toughest surrender points that I have experienced. For me, everything flows so easily in surrender. When money says do this, I'm able to do that and joyfully. And in that moment when I'm eating the sweets, there is a lot of joy, and I'm able to break the associations at times. But you know what? That moment passes. Maybe 2 days later, maybe 15 days later, I will come to another moment, another frequency. And in that frequency, the weight that I am will bother me. Oh, why am I so fat now? I wasn't so fat 5 years ago. Why have I put on this one? And all the whys will come at that point in time, and I will find myself going into the lack frequency. So, when we are wishing for a certain kind of body, and then we are blaming the foods, and we are blaming, what we consume, we are blaming our body for behaving the way it is, it's pointing towards lack of self love. Again, in my journey, when I'm being shown that I'm in the higher frequencies, two things happen. Of course, actually thrice the way it has worked out is that I've moved into a higher frequency where I don't need any food. And then so many different times when I'm moving in such a high frequency and being so aware, I'm made to eat sweets and sweets like nobody's business. So many sweets, like in a day, I'll eat 12 sweets or 14 sweets. And I can see that, why is it? I'm not even buying any sweets. Why are all of these sweets making an appearance at my house? Everybody who's walking into my house is getting more and more sweets. And I keep eating those sweets. And then I'm being shown that there is zero association with what you eat. There is zero association with the weight and what you eat. And so I'll be eating those sweets and find that I'm 3 kilos lighter. I'll be eating so much of mithai and I will actually find that I'm 3 kilos lighter. When does that happen? When I'm moving in the frequency of non judgment. And when I'm eating something, but also judging myself, sure enough, the weighing scales will get associated with whatever I've eaten. So many times I find parents running after children, eat this, eat that, you need to eat more, you're so thin, you need to be this, you need to be strong, eat this is healthy for you. From the age of 0 to 4, the children are so connected with this higher frequency that they actually don't need to consume much food at all. And you would have seen that in the children around, yes, they've come to experience the earth, so they do feel hunger, but just a little bit for taste and they are done with it. Just a little bit at the time when it's needed and they are done with it, and they can go on for hours and hours. But we, because we are sitting so much in the mind frequency and we are sitting with so much judgment towards food, this is good and this is not good, they can't be eating so much of this, they need to eat at this time. And so we bring to them their habits, we bring to them their conditionings. This their conditioning, they've asked for it, they've taken birth on earth to experience this, separation with the self. They've taken birth to experience food and everything that comes along with it. So don't blame yourself that you're running after your child, but simply look within at that point as well. As you are force feeding your child with something or the other, what is it that you are coming from? Which energy are you coming from? Why do animals scream when killed for our food? It's not just necessary that they scream when killed for our food. When we look at death in the eye and we don't understand death, we all scream. When somebody is going to try and kill you and you don't understand death, you won't be in allowance and acceptance of death. And so you will scream. And when the animal screams, here is the question: when the animal screams, what is the emotion that it is causing in you? What emotion does death cause in you? Take a look. If it is sadness, then the sadness belongs to you. Because what is death? Death is simply a new chapter. It's a morning. I took another guidance, and the guidance came saying, what is death? Death is actually a morning. It's a new morning. And that night of unawareness has to end. And for that, that morning needs to keep coming to end the night. And so every time we look at death, understanding it to be simply the next morning and the next morning, and our journey being that from unawareness to awareness. So when somebody is screaming as they can see death, what is happening to you? That's your emotion. That's what you are holding. All of this is Maya. The illusion is the illusion of killing your own brothers, as it happened in Mahabharata. That when Arjun looked at the battlefield and saw his own brothers everywhere, and he cried, saying, how can I kill my own brothers? And then what was Arjun told by Krishna? This is illusion. There is no brother, there is no mother, there is no father, but you are getting into the story. And so, every time that you get into the story, when animals need our help, we can act to help them, right? Before you act to help them, who needs our help? Who is not Shiva? When you feel this urge to help something or someone, I used to, again, it's all so much a play of my own life, because I used to be that person. I made, I was an investment banker. I made millions, in all of my years of working. And as I was working through and everything, I never managed to save a penny, because each time some charitable organization would call, somebody would call, and I kept giving my money. And this is days of unawareness, but I would always feel, no, no, they need my help. This group of people, they need my help. That group of people, they need my help. When my journey of awareness began, the first thing I was told is, stop thinking that you're the only Shiva around. Every being is Shiva. Everyone is Shiva. And so as you look at somebody and help, firstly release this urgency, this pity, because this is your unacceptance of all that is around you. That's your non-allowance of all that is around you. First, release that pity. From that place of pity, what are you creating more for yourself? Forget anybody else. There is no animal. There is you and your mirror. And with that animal mirror, what are you feeling? You are feeling pain. You are feeling pity. You are feeling the need to help. And so, what is it that you haven't recognized? That is a mirror and it's showing you your pity. When we grow that pity, what is going to happen on the outside? More pity is what we are going to experience for them and for ourselves. And in pity, we forget the power that we are. In pity, we forget the Shiva that we are. It's not about them, it's about us. We've forgotten that each one a Shiva. And then from that place of power, then do whatever action you feel like doing. But firstly, bring yourself to that place of power that this is Shiva and I am Shiva too. And then what remains? Some action. Some action will remain. Maybe you want to do that action. Maybe that's maybe that's the action that you need to do at that point in time, or maybe not. But what is happening? That event is no longer creating in you more pity for yourself. That event, you in your awareness have now used that same event to come to your powerfulness. How can we help any other when we ourselves are sitting in so much helplessness? Yes, we might do an action. We might do an action that looks like we helped. But what is happening? The action is by the 1% body. What's the 99% doing? The 99% is sitting in energies of pity. The 99% is sitting in energies of helplessness. Oh, I need to help because nobody else is there. Oh, I need to help because um, they're so in need of help. They can't even do anything. They can't save themselves. There is no they. This is you and your mirror. What is the energy that you are looking at? Please look within, release that energy. And from that place, whatever action you take, it's okay. I stay grounded in my masti, knowing that the 99% masti that I am feeling right now is automatically getting tuned to them. They're already receiving that 99%. My 1% doesn't need to do anything. My 1% can crack bad jokes and it won't matter. I mean, when somebody hears this, and sometimes if they haven't looked into their fears, they always tell me, but isn't it going to be like, what if they actually do it? And I was like, that's your fear. You are sitting in the fear frequency, not I. I understand they are Shiva and they've come here. And so that's why when they come to me, I have to be rich to help somebody who is poor. I can't be poor and then try to help somebody that will make for two poor people. And so, simply when somebody comes to me in energies of despair, in energies of distress, I cannot be in despair and distress. If I feel that despair and distress, I need to release that because that's the energy that they are receiving. And so, I simply keep my eye on this one question, that same question that I tell all of you to ask each time. When some story is playing outside, what is happening to me? What's happening inside of me? And if I find that my energy is that of sadness, I'm not going to do anything from that sad frequency. Firstly, I'm going to sit, release that sadness. Secondly, I'm going to take guidance. What is this here to show me? And then thirdly, asking guidance. Do I need to take an action? Do I even need to take an action, or has the action already been taken by the energies? If the guidance still tells me take action, I do that. I don't rush to help anyone because nobody needs help. Everyone is Shiva. Everybody doesn't know that they are Shiva. Will they know just if I utter those words? No, no, you are Shiva. You need to understand this. No. It's their journey from fear to fearlessness, their journey from powerlessness to power. Can I help them in the journey? Yes, through my energy. Should I drag them into my energy? Absolutely not. It's their journey. In the energies, if you receive guidance today saying that, okay, eat 5 chocolate cakes in a day, and that's your guidance. Now, what will you do? I tell people, don't jump into action, because and I just, as I explained it, I do it differently. I do jump into action, but then my game is of surrender. So if you understand surrender, and if you are able to be joyful in eating those 5 cakes, only then go ahead. But if eating, the very thought of eating those 5 cakes itself is making you, palpitate, if itself is giving you so much fear, then first your job is actually not to follow guidance or eat those 5 cakes, but to release the fear, to release the judgment. So as you say, and again, when you hear of something that this is good for you, I actually say that whatever is good for you, keep eating, because those are at least programs that are serving us well. Too often we are creating programs of things that are not serving us well, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's something or the other. All of these are creating fears in us. So my whole submission to you is, when you've got a program that if I eat fried food 5 times in a day, it's not good for me, then first break that program, that whatever my body needs. And that's why I said, I simply intend to myself that my body has unlimited intelligence. It can choose what it wants, and when it doesn't want something, it has so many different ways through which it can release. It doesn't keep it in. It, everything that I take in is love. And yet, so even as I'm taking something in, if my body doesn't want it, I simply trust my body, and I say that yes, my body knows how to release, and it will release. And in that, the only thing that I'm yet to break is my close love of the weight, of what I think a perfect weight should be. So, this with me has been a 3 year journey of awareness just of the food, and it's still not done. We don't need food, and yet we eat it 4 or 5 times in a day. What is it? We are simply addicted to it. And so, when people come to me to break addictions, my first question to them is, why do you want to break it? What about your addiction is scaring you? Why do you want to break it? And people say, no, this is the first time that they're hearing somebody ask them, why do you want to break it? Because otherwise, normally, if you're a smoker and you go to somebody and say, I want to break my smoking habit, they're like, yes, 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 you need to. It's bad for the lungs. It's this, it's that. And they are simply giving you more fear that you will go and sit deeper in. So when somebody comes to me and says, I want to quit my smoking habit, and I ask them why? Why do you want to quit it? And they'll say, no, I actually really enjoy it a lot, but it's not good for my lungs. And I say, okay, in terms of actions, you do two things. Either you stop the smoking because it's not good for your lungs, or you release this program that it's not good for your lungs. And you release it with so much of trust to the body that my body knows what is good for, what is good for my body and what is not. And so even when I take in smoke, it will easily find ways. And when you have so much trust in your body, it's an awareness job. So when you're able to have so much awareness, and when you're able to easily smoke without going towards that fear, or even if that fear comes, you're able to see it and release it, then happily smoke. Because what is every addiction? Every addiction is simply filling in some gaps, and most of these gaps are caused by fear frequency and lack frequency. Most of the addictions that we are tuned into are creating fears in us. They are creating lack in us. If we leave it, we sit in lack. If we continue to do it, we sit in fear. So this is what addictions are creating in us. And it's the same with food as well. We can't leave it. If we don't eat our 2 meals, by the third meal we're like, oh my god, my head is hurting, I'm feeling so weak. And these are the associations that you've created, that when we don't eat proper meals, we are going to feel so weak. And so letting go of this program, either you let go of this program, and also, as I said, food is an addiction. It creates fears in you. And when you don't eat it, it creates lack in you. So we are playing between these two frequencies largely when we are playing with food. Every single day, 5 times in a day, we are giving into these two frequencies. And so as we become aware, simply watch what are your emotions. If right now eating a gulab jamun gives you a, maybe the first gulab jamun won't, maybe the second won't, but by the third, by the time the third gulab jamun rolls around and you're sitting with this, oh my god, no, no, I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, yeah, Meenal said something, but that's for her, it's not for me. Now you're sitting in fear. You suddenly shifted your frequency from trusting your body, trusting your craving, to sitting in fear. So sit with love. As something gives you fear, release it, and then make this intent. All that I eat is love. My body knows how to treat it. My body knows exactly what it wants. I trust my body. Most of the times, we say we don't trust our body. No, my mind needs to control what needs to go into my stomach. My mind needs to control what needs to go into my lungs. So the air that I'm breathing is very polluted. What is a polluted air bringing to you? Fear, of course. And so, what do I say nowadays when I go to Delhi? All that I breathe is love. And so I don't fall sick. That's all. The air, no matter what the quality of the air is, it's love. And love can't harm me. Love is simply there. It's unconditional love. So me and the air that I breathe are into oneness. And so that's the whole point, that yes, you can eat whatever you want, but as you eat what you want, keep looking at all the programs and all the conditionings that you have, and keep breaking them. I'm breaking them. It's been 3 years. I'm breaking them every single day. So, okay, everyone, a deep breath in and out. And as you take the deep breath in, simply with the intent, I take energy from Meenal. I am Meenal. I take energy from Meenal. I am Meenal. A deep breath in and exhale. And as you exhale, whatever is on your mind, any questions, any emotions, anything that's occupying your mind and it's not serving you, simply release now. Simply release in the now. You are taking energy from Meenal. Your mind is completely blank and at peace. That place of joyful peace. No thoughts, no thoughts being entertained right now. If any thought comes, simply ask for it to wait. Right now, in the now, you take energy from Meenal. And now, with the next breath, imagine yourself as a butterfly. You are a butterfly, just simply dancing in the air, this butterfly, this energy of yours. You are this butterfly. And as you watch yourself being this butterfly, look at the butterfly jumping from flower to flower. It's just going to every flower, tasting the nectar, tasting the amrit, tasting the love from every flower. The butterfly doesn't think, oh no, not this flower. This flower is not good for me. The butterfly simply moves from flower to flower. Your energy right now, in the form of this butterfly, simply moving from flower to flower, enjoying the nectar. enjoying this Amrit that's coming to you. And now, this butterfly will suddenly find itself in a sweets shop. All the desserts, all the sweets that you so love, right there in this shop. All the other foods that you so love, the fried foods, the pizzas, everything in this shop, in this beautiful shop, which has all the yummy food that you can think of. Everything that you so want, everything that you so enjoy. If you enjoy salads, there is a salad section here too. So every food that you enjoy, and you now, as this butterfly, are in this shop. And watch yourself sitting on every food. You're sitting on every food. You're enjoying this beautiful flavor of every food. You're jumping from one food to the other, simply taking the nectar from one food and the other. All that you sit on is love. All that you touch is love. All that you take in is love. And you are so enjoying this beautiful experience. And now, as the butterfly, look at yourself. You have so many different colors. Each of those colors are actually your emotions. There's a yellow color. I wonder what that stands for. Is it joy or is it fear? Look at yourself and see what color in you is that of fear. Maybe it's yellow, maybe it's brown. Who knows what that color is? You will be able to see it as you look at yourself. And now look at this other color of joy. In you, what color have you given your joy? Is it red? Is it orange? Is it a blue? You will know as you look at yourself, this beautiful colored butterfly holding all the emotions and so many colors. Look at the yellow, look at the red, look at the fears, look at the joy. Look at every color and how each color is so beautiful. Yes, even fear is a beautiful color. Joy is a beautiful color. And they're all simply colors and they all belong to you. And you are this beautiful butterfly holding all these colors. And so, as you look at the color of fear, simply accept it. Yes, you're a beautiful color in me. But in this moment, as I'm tasting all these beautiful nectars, I'm going to choose another color. This time, I'm going to choose the color of abundance. I'm going to choose the color of joy. And I'm going to grow this color. And I'm going to grow this color a little bit more. And so you are able to grow this beautiful color of joy. As you taste the nectars in that shop, in that sweet shop where you love every place you are going, everything that you are sitting on, you can taste without fear and with so much joy. And knowing that you have the choice to release your colors of fear and to take on, to bring yourself to more joy. Oh, money. You can do this exercise with yourself at any point in time before you eat something. You can bring yourself to your energy state where you are the butterfly. You are the butterfly, and you are simply sitting on every kind of food. Be aware of the color that you are bringing to yourself. Be aware of the emotion that you are growing and choose to grow some joy, some abundance, some love. Om Mani.